Hello everybody, this is Cardboard Anxiety, and today I am so excited to be sharing a tutorial on how to make one of these lovely little masks, with a slight variation because it won't actually have a moving jaw like this one, which it doesn't move that well, which is why I'm not showing you how to make this one. So we make static jaws like this guy right here. Like, ignore the long muzzle, it didn't turn out perfectly, but I think the point still stands. It shows you how to make the basic mask, and you can make any adjustments as needed for your character or your theriotype. But yeah, we're going to go over how to make a Therian style mask with a jaw. Like this one here, it's got teeth, pretty cool, I like it. But yeah, we're just going to be going over in this first part the foam part, not the furring part. That'll be for a later video, which hopefully won't take as long as this one took to get out. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, and let's get into what materials you'll need to get started.
For the materials, you're going to need a Therian style cat mask base. I got mine off of Amazon. Some 6mm EVA foam, a 1-inch thick elastic band, scissors, something to write with like a Sharpie or marker, and a glue gun and glue sticks. So the first step in this process is actually going to be tracing around the ears on the base mask. Now, this is just so we can cut them off and add different ears later down the line. You'll also want to start getting your hot glue gun warmed up because we're going to be needing that very soon. And once you have that first ear gone, you'll want to repeat that on the other side. Now we're just going to be taking some of that EVA foam and tracing around the gaps that we just created. We're doing this essentially to smooth out the cat mask base because we don't want massive holes where the ears are going to be sitting. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just close enough so that when you're gluing them in, it will fit fairly well. And here I'm just gluing in those pieces to smooth out the base, as I said earlier. And something I wanted to mention with these EVA foam pieces is that you don't need a whole lot of glue to keep them together, because if you do put too much, it will just take way too long to dry, and then because of that, it ends up falling apart. So just be careful with how much glue you put on. You don't need to waste it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But basically, now you're just going to trace along the muzzle of the cat, and this is just to show you where you should be gluing down the big piece of foam. Now, essentially, you just want it to be wide enough so that it will fit when curved along that black line you just drew. It can be a little tricky to keep this glued down at times, but once you find the right angle, it should go pretty smoothly. So here I'm just marking off where I want to trim the muzzle because it's looking a bit long right now, and I actually wish I went a bit shorter than I did, but in the end it turned out okay. And next you are just going to be cutting a small slit down the middle of this muzzle. It should be about 1 inch to 1.5 inches long, a bit longer if you're doing a cat or some other animal. Again, it's going to depend on what you're making. And here's somewhere I actually wish I let the glue cool a bit more. I ended up burning my fingers a little bit, so when you're doing this part, just make sure, let the glue cool, or don't put the glue on as much of the foam as I did, because that didn't go very well. And what I'm doing here is essentially just trimming off some of that excess foam. You know, you don't want it to be too sharp or have, you know, corners. Animals in reality are very round often. Now this part is the trickiest in my opinion, but you'll want to lay your mask flat on a table or other surface and line the front end of your foam up with the front of the snout, the back end with the back of the mask, and then have a slope connecting the two where the muzzle meets the mask. And that was kind of difficult to describe without like pointing it out, but I hope it made a little bit of sense, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. So here is a kind of trapezoid almost piece, and this is going to be the bottom of your jaw. Now, basically for this trapezoid piece, you want it to be long enough so that when the front end is curved upwards, it reaches the base of your chin. Not under your chin, that will be too long. You kind of want to find the happy middle. But once you've got all those cut out and glued together, we can move on to the next step, which is gluing it onto the mask itself. You'll end up wanting it to look something like this, which I will admit looks a little odd, but it ends up working fairly well. And up next you'll see me just testing the fit to make sure it looks okay, and then we'll go ahead and glue it into the mask. I already did one side, but I'm showing you just how I do it on the other side. It's very simple. Once you have the actual jaw made, it gets easy. Like I said, that was the trickiest part in my opinion. So here I'm just trimming up the edges because they ended up being a bit uneven, and as I said earlier, I just think it looks a bit cleaner in my opinion. And up next, I will be showing you the little snout piece that makes the transition between the mask and the muzzle a bit smoother. And you can kind of see here, I'm cutting them at a bit of an angle, and that just makes it look a bit, you know, rounder, as I said many times before. Now we're going to be adding some extra scrap foam to the back of the mask, just for some extra stability and room. You just need to make sure it's long enough to reach around the mask as it curves, which usually ends up being longer than you expect, but hopefully you have enough foam lying around that it will still work out. Next, I'm just going to cut a small slit in the middle of that foam piece because it just allows it to curve a bit more evenly. I'm not sure exactly why, but that's just how it works out. And now I'm just rounding off the edges, making it even. And next we will be adding the ears. Now, you may not want to take my advice when it comes to cutting out the shape of the ear, because I was trying something new with these ones and it just did not turn out that great. So just keep that in mind. I was going for a wolf, but it doesn't look that wolf-like. But something you do want to do is cut the bottom edge at an angle, because that just allows it to sit better on the mask. Otherwise, they will be pointing backwards or straight up, and you kind of want them to be, you know, leaning forward a little bit, but not too much. Then I'm just going ahead and gluing them down onto that back edge piece that we glued down a bit earlier. And something I found that helps out a bit is to curve the edges of the ears inward towards the other side. As you can see, I'm kind of doing it a bit there. It just makes them look a bit more natural, and I just like the effect it creates. Now I'm just taking that 1-inch banded elastic and gluing it onto the mask. And this is our last step of the video. You have made it! Congratulations! And how long that banded elastic should be all depends on how big of a head you have, but you usually do want to glue it down a bit above where the eyes sit on the mask. And there we have it! You have completed the base for your next Therian mask with a jaw. I hope you enjoyed, and now back to real life me for the outro.
Alright guys, I hope that tutorial worked out great for you. It did for me. I'm super happy with how this came out. Like, there's a few minor adjustments I'd make if I made it again. But once again, like, I'm still learning, and hopefully you guys learned something from this, because it's not a science, it's just art. You know, so we're all gonna make some weird choices, maybe, when we first get started, like this guy here. Muzzle, way too long. Ears, not the best. But, you know, it is what it is. So hopefully you're happy with how yours turned out. I know I'm pretty happy with mine, again. What I said earlier, but, I don't really care that much. I'm still happy with it. It's cute. It's cute, and I think it'll look great once the fur is on, because I've furred a couple others, and they turned out pretty great. Looks better than just the foam base, obviously, but yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.